Hi everybody. Today I'm gonna do 6005. I'm doing A. It's new look. I'm actually gonna do a size 14. The last pants I made were 12 and they fit, but I like just a little bit looser pants. And this will have the drawstring and the elastic anyways, but I just want to have a little bit more room in my upper legs and butt area. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is get your front piece, A. Or number 1, I mean. And I'm going to put my safety pins in my front, just to know that these are the front. I do this a lot when I'm making shirts, so I know which is the front. Once I get the pockets on, I'm good, but... So I just clip a little safety pin in. Okay, now you need to get your number 2, which is the yoke and the pocket together. And get one piece of your front pants. With right sides together. Okay, gotta go to that one. And you're gonna pin up your yoke and the pocket part. So this is your side seam. Okay, so you want that on that side. And match your notches. And you're gonna sew this up. And do that on both pieces. And this is 5/8. And then I'm going to take my pinking shears so it will curve better. But you're just going to sew down here. Okay, like I said, I'm getting my pinking shears. And I'm just going to go along that seam. So just trim both of those seams. See, there's mine. So I just take about half of it off. Oh, they come to your iron and you're going to press your yoke and your pocket inside. So get this nice and straight. If you have to do the roll method, do the roll method. You want that seam right on top. So you want it just like that, right on top. It's kind of hard with the black to see. Okay, today I'm going to be using a double needle. This wants you to sew twice down here, right here and right here. I'm going to use my double needle, and that way it does it in one shot. Be sure you get that where you want that to be. Okay. Now I'm going to pin this like at the top because I don't want it to move. And then I'll probably pin, oops, right down here. And we have to do this to both sides. So your sewing machine will probably do double needle or twin needle. Just get your booklet out. You need to have a double pointed needle. And what it'll do is make it come and look out like this. I had to adjust my tension a little. So right in here. So you'll have 2 stitches, and that's what they want. Otherwise, you can just go down and then like 1/8 the way come and go down the same line. So I have to put my needle on and get this other one done. So when I get back, I'll show you what I did. Always do a trial when you're using your twin needle to be sure you got everything right. I know it's hard to see, but this is what you'll have. Okay, if you did that, just get your machine back to single needle and get your stitch linked back so everything's put back to normal. Okay, then come back and fold your pocket in half at the fold line. Now match your notches. And then you're going to press that seam down your fold line. You can also just open this up. If I can find a piece. And you can mark your fold line. Get a pin. And then just take your ruler. and draw a line. I'm using everything today. And this will be your fold line. Okay, and then you can just fold it to here. But on the other side. And be sure you got your fold line straight. And then just press that so you know that is your fold line. Okay, that's my fold line. Looks pretty good. And that's just going to give you a crease. You have a couple dots that you can match up. I have to mark mine after, as everybody knows, I'm using the heat pins right now, so I just mark everything when I get to it. Okay. Get those notches matched up. And I'm just going to pin this in place. Okay, now you're going to sew this bottom edge of the pocket. I just wanted to keep mine nice and straight. That's why I pinned them. So you have to do this on both sets. And that's kind of what the pocket's gonna look like. Okay, now what you're gonna do is you're gonna baste this fold line and then down on the bottom. Now you wanna do this really straight because you're gonna follow that basting line down and over. And that way you'll have a nice square pocket. So just take your time basting. Be sure your pocket's straight. If you have to, you know, kind of move it a little to make it look right, do that. Okay, so baste along here, 1/4 of an inch on both sides, or both pieces, I mean. So what I usually do is I measure my 1/4 inch. And that way it kind of gives me an idea of where to go. So I just take my ruler and I mark it. That way I know my basting thread is going straight because I want this is the outside, so I want it to be straight. And then just start basting it. Like right on that line. Because you're going to follow it on the outside. So you want to be sure that this is pretty straight. So just keep doing that and do that on the other piece. And then just sew these up. It's kind of hard to see, but here's my basting line. I used gray. So now you're just going to follow this line, basting line. Come to your bottom, pivot, and go all the way, and then get off your sewing machine. Okay, let me get this one done, and then I'll get back to the next step. I'm not going to use the double or twin needle this way. I'm just going to do it single. Okay, then you'll have it like this, and then just pull out your basting thread. Now this is, the top's going to be picked up by the waistband, so don't worry about that. So just pull out your basting. And then just go and press it. I know I got a little hole, or a little knot here somewhere. There it is. Okay. And then the top, I have a little knot. Okay, so that's what it'll look like. And this will be tacked in with your side seam. So there's your pocket. Okay, come back and do the same thing. I made my 1/4 inch lines, and I'm just gonna follow that, baste it, and then sew them up. Okay, once you get that done, there's my pocket, and there's my pocket. You need to get some interfacing out. And it's number 3. And you're going to take 2 of these pieces and put interfacing on them. So let's do that. Okay, and then apply your interfacing. I just have to trim a little my interfacing, and I have to make my dot. So you're going to sew up 3/8. Let's see, 3/8, leaving end with large dot open. Okay, so leaving this end open. You're going to sew 3/8 all the way around. Leave this opened. And we do have to make a buttonhole. After we get this stitched and turned. So let me get that done. Okay, so here these are. You're gonna layer seam, whichever, or pinking shears, and then turn these right side out. Okay, turn these right side out. I have my little pointer here, so I can get my corners nice. Just keep working it. Then I have to go mark where the buttonhole goes. And we'll make a buttonhole. But we have to get this pressed good and then sew 1/4 of an inch all the way around before we do our buttonhole. So do your next one. And I'll probably do my buttonhole after dinner. I have to go get supper started. So I'll come back after supper. Okay. So you want to come to your iron. And you want to press these so that seam is right on the top. I need to get a little bit more water for my iron here. So after I press it, I take my little pointer thing. And I just kind of keep working it to be sure these are just nice and straight. Come out a little. There we go. Then I just steam them. And I'll trim off my interfacing. Okay, do the same thing for this one. Okay, go back to your sewing machine and sew along here, pivot, pivot, and back up. And that'll just make a nice tailored look. Okay, so you'll have something like this. Okay, I'm gonna do my other one, then I'm gonna get my supper started, and I'll be back to do the buttonholes. Okay, everybody, I'm back from supper. Now we just need to make our buttonholes on this. So let me get mine done up. And I'll be right back. Okay, and all I do is take my seam ripper and slowly I open up my seam. So there we go. Okay, on your pattern, be sure you're getting view A and your number. I'm doing a 14. So just mark that if you haven't already. And I just put a little pin in. So mark both pieces. Okay, and then take your little tab. And you're gonna baste these. And it's your big dot matching your big dot. And you want your raw edges even. And baste those. And I do measure mine to be sure my tabs are even. My bird's going off. I gotta go see what he wants. So get those basted on. And I will return. Okay, you're gonna sew one front and one back piece together. If you do have the Janome, and I don't know if other machines have it, I think mine's an M foot. And this actually will serge your edges together. So I'm gonna serge my edges first, and then I'll put them together and sew them. Okay, see, and that's all it does. And it's almost like serging. If you do have the Janome, it is the M foot, and you go under utilities and you hit number 13. So let me do this other one, and then I'll be back. All right, I got my other one done. And I don't know if you can see, but it just kind of puts like a zigzag down. Now match your notches. Oh, my bird's still going off. And you're gonna sew this up 5/8. I'm sure Singer and Brothers and all that have a foot, and it's essentially called overcasting foot. So you can look that up. They're not that expensive. I can't remember how much. I think I paid like 12 bucks or $18. I can't remember, somewhere in there for the foot. And it just takes place of a serger. Okay, let me get this done and get the other one done, and then we'll go on to the next step. And I'll go see what my bird is beeping about. This is a 5/8 seam. Okay, so you can use this foot, you know, like on all your raw edges. And that way you'll just end up with a seam that looks like it's been serged on the end. And it just helps it from not raveling your material. So I don't know if you can see this, but that's what mine looks like. And it's an M for, and then it's my Janome. I have an S9. But you can look on Amazon. I'm sure they got them for Brother, Singer, everything else. Okay, now we're going to stitch the front and the back seams. I call it the U. So we're going to stitch this. And then probably like 6 inches. You can go over your stitch again or like an 1/8 away from it, and that just reinforces it. Make sure your seams are opened on both sides. Okay, once you have that done, go and open up your seams and press them. I didn't have my iron on. And I'm just going to take my pinking shears and just trim a little right in here, right in that U. I'm just taking off a little. And then I'm just going to open up this seam right here. On both sides. Now we're going to sew our sides together. This might be a little too big for me, but we'll see. So we're just going to sew this whole side. Now be sure your little notch is, or your little tab is straight. So like double pin it there just so it stays nice and straight. And that's a 5/8 seam. There is a notch there. And when I get to my tab, I'm just going to come back and go over it one more time just so I know it's secure. Okay, get number 5. And you're going to have to put down some interfacing where your buttonholes are. So just apply some interfacing. Okay, then on the front, mine are pretty well marked. So make 2 buttonholes. I'm right here and right here. Okay, let me get those done and I'll be right back. Okay, so now you're going to sew up each edge here, but you want to leave an opening so you can get your elastic in. It's 1/2 inch elastic. So sew up one end, and on the other end just sew a little down, leave a spot, and sew the rest down. And you have your marks right here. Okay, let me get this done. Okay, be sure you reinforce that hole that you left on both ends. Then go and open up your seams and press them. Okay, what you can do on each side of your seam is to baste it. And that way when you put your string and your elastic through, it doesn't get caught underneath here. So if you baste both sides, and then just take your basting out when you have everything through. So I'm gonna do that real quick. You can either baste them. I'm going to use some of my webbing, and that will keep it down. So I just do that on both ends. The iron's not hot enough. There it is. Where did I put? Oh, there it is. So I just take a little piece and I just place it under here. Get that little tail off there. And just butt it up against it. And press it on. And this is just fusible webbing. So see, it gets it so it won't open up. And that way when you put your elastic through in your tie, it doesn't get caught. I think this is Stitch Wickery, I think. Okay. Whew, it's hot. Okay, now we're going to fold this in half, wrong sides together. Just be sure everything is even. And press it down. And then we're going to baste it. So get this done, match your notches and all. And I'll be right back. Okay, baste your raw edges together. And where your hole is, this is the bottom part. So you want to be sure that's at the bottom when we start putting this together. So just go along and baste this. And I'll be right back. Okay, the next thing you want to do is right where your pockets are, just kind of baste them so they don't move around when you're putting your waistband on. It's just a few stitches. So just right up where your pocket is. Just put a couple little stitches just to hold that in. Just like that. It's real easy. Okay. And I have my plastic where I just put all my needles in, just so I don't lose them. Okay, now take your band. Okay, this is the front. Here's my pins and my pockets. Get this right. Okay, here's my hole. That's gonna go inside. So start matching up your dots or your notches and your seams. So get all this done. Then we're gonna sew up. Now these pants will have, when the seam is pulled down, we have to trim real close and then we'll understitch and just grab that seam. Be sure all your seams are opened up. Okay, let me get this done and I'll be right back. Okay, now stitch 5/8 all the way around here. Start in your back. Okay, and you can take your basting out now. So let me get mine out. Okay, then you're gonna stitch again 1/4 inch all the way around. Okay, once you have that done, so you have the 2 stitches, you're gonna press this down all along, and then you're gonna stitch in the ditch all the way around. And then we put our elastic in. So let me get that done. Okay, if you want, you can trim a little of this part. And then you're going to stitch in the ditch. I don't know if that's really gonna bother me that much. To have that seam there. I guess I'll trim a little of it off. You can trim close to the second stitch line. So I'll do that and then just go back and start stitching in the ditch here. Okay, and then just start stitching in the ditch. And take your time. Get right into that seam. And stitch away. So that's all I did, was just put like a 1/4 inch seam all the way around. And it just helps so the elastic doesn't roll. All right, I'm gonna put my elastic through and then try these on and mark where I need to cut my elastic. So I'll be right back. Okay, I got where I need to sew my elastic. So just overlap your elastic. Sure that's going the right way. Yep. So just overlap your elastic. I don't need all of this. Like this. And then you're gonna sew here and on the other end and then straight down. And that way it won't leave a bump. So just right here at this end, and then come straight. And then just whip stitch this closed. Now I know I'm gonna have to take in some, I'll probably have to, from my pocket down, I'm gonna have to take in a little bit because they are a little baggy. Everything else fits good. So, but I'm gonna get a cup of coffee, and if you guys will please like, share, subscribe, comment, and I'll be right back and I'll get this done. And then we have the tie and then I think the hem. Yeah, we'll have the tie. This pattern has you going all over the place. Okay, and let me see. Okay, yeah. And then the hem. So we'll get that done. Alrighty, I'll be right back. Okay, so this is how your elastic's gonna be. And then just move it around. And just sew up that little hole. So you just whip stitch it closed. Okay, so all that's left is making our tie, which I need to cut some of my material out, and I'm just gonna make a tie. You can use ribbon or a rope, whatever you want to use. But so far, this is what I have. And I did take some in at my inner seam. But all we have left is the tie and the hem. And I'm going to do that tomorrow. My eyes are getting tired. I can hardly see. But I'll make a part 2 just so you guys can get going on these. And then in the morning, I'll just post a part 2 for this, because I'm going to have to take off my little tabs here and move them up, because they're a little bit too long. I measured them, but they still came out a little bit too long for me. So, but, alrighty. So I'll do a part 2 in the morning. You all have a good night. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, thumbs up. And I will see you in the morning. You have a good night.